everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Just looking at the moment. Weather's not great at the moment, so just got to deal with it, but it's what it is. Yeah. So how are we all doing today? Hope everyone's well. I tried to stretch this morning because I saw this post and it said about apparently it can what did it say? Well, it said about stress being stored in the body. I mean, I've heard about things like that. Well, I've heard about people saying trauma stored in the body, but this post was saying about stress being stored in the body, and when you do this like back bend exercise for 30 seconds, it can like sort of release that stress or something, that cortisol. I don't know like how true it is, but I thought I'd give it a try, and yeah, maybe I should do stuff like this regularly to kind of, yeah, because I want to try and be at my best. I want to try and become a friggin' superhuman, you know? Want to unlock my full potential. You know, most people are nowhere near at their potential. Most people probably aren't even halfway to their potential, you know? Maybe even a quarter of the way, because they're just not doing a lot to really kind of, really kind of try. They're just, they're just, yeah, they get stuck into bad habits and stuff. Hello, Kaus, look. How's it going, Baal, Tran? Hope you're all well today. Like the live, everybody. Hello, Legwim15. How are you doing today? So, I want to try and perform at my best, recover the best. Because, like, when I'm training hard and then... So I'll try and, prioritize relaxation, meditation, stuff like that to try and just lower stress so I can recover better, so I can just keep going at it. Hello, Alan. Yeah, I am, yeah. I'm back from the dead. Yeah. Hit the like button, everybody. Subscribe if you're new here. That would be really appreciated. So, yeah, I'm just walking around at the moment. It's raining a little bit at the moment, but it is what it is. Beltran, I'm 30 years old. How are you doing today, everybody? Hope everyone's well. So yeah, so I've been looking into things like testosterone optimization and stuff like that. Naturally optimizing your testosterone. A lot of people are looking into things like TRT, which I think is not good, to say the least. I think the problem is that people are taking shortcuts. They're looking at, pharmaceutical solutions instead of, first of all, looking at their lifestyle. To me, those things should be a last resort, not something that people, go on like it's just, I don't know, like it's hay fever medicine or something. I don't know. It's like they're just, going on these things like without really any thoughts about, what could this do in the long run? Could this potentially have deleterious effects? Is there any ways I could optimize it naturally? Now, if you've tried everything and you still, have very low testosterone, maybe have hypogonadism, then maybe at that point it's like, okay, fair enough. But I think you should have looked into every way that you can optimize it naturally first. And there's usually a lot of ways that it can be done. For some people, it could be moderating alcohol consumption, because that can be a big one. You know, if you're drinking a lot of alcohol, it can actually apparently suppress testosterone. It can suppress muscle growth and things like that if you do it too much. So there are ways that we can actually improve testosterone, increase muscle mass naturally, without having to resort to taking. Buki, how you doing? Oh, you're Vietnamese. Oh yeah. All right, welcome in anyway. You know, I just feel like it's a dangerous trend of like encouraging young men to go on TRT, which is just gonna, like, you know, a lot of these guys don't even need it. I mean, for one, a lot of these people maybe not even training hard enough. So that's another thing as well. If you're unhappy with your gains, so then you go on TRT to try and increase your muscle mass, but then it's like, I don't know. I'm okay. What are you up to? Just chatting and taking a stroll. I'm going to like get some food from the shop. I haven't had anything to eat yet, so I'm gonna get some food. But I thought I'd just come on for a bit. Oh, fuck's sake! All right, let's get past this. All right. Yeah. But anyway, so we're talking about testosterone optimization and muscle optimization and stuff like that, because a lot of guys out there are just hopping on TRT like it's nothing. It's pretty much just doing gear. Yeah, it might not be as bad as some of this stuff, but it's like a lot of these guys don't even have testosterone that low to begin with. A lot of these are guys in their 20s and 30s, which is just crazy to me how young men are choosing to go on TRT and like act like it's not even TRT then, is it? Because what is it? Testosterone replacement therapy? It's to suggest that you aren't producing enough naturally, which, you know, if that it really is the case, then there might be something wrong with your lifestyle. And in some cases, these guys don't even have low T to begin with, and they are abusing TRT. Matisse, how you doing? Yeah, thank you. Wow. So that's the problem I have with all this stuff, is that it's, yeah. Now you could argue also that if so many men start taking it, then pressures other men to start doing it, because then they feel inadequate because they're not taking it. But the thing is, most of these people that are taking it are not really optimizing everything, so I don't think that's something to really worry about that much, because a lot of these people just want to take shortcuts. You know, they've gotten into training. A lot of them are like these little kids, right? They're probably late teens or whatever, and they see all, and or actually not. Let's say they're in their 20s, maybe they might be about mid 20s. Let's say you got people like Alex Eubank, who's done it, and it's like he never needed to do any of that. But it's like, instead of trying to like optimize testosterone naturally, they will just, you know, it's all about vanity to them, and it's all, yeah, nothing about their health or anything. Hello from Scotland. Hello to you. Hope you're well. Nice to meet you. So I think these guys need to just like, you know, just be careful, you know. But there's literally like probably, I wonder how many men are on TRT at this point that are like, that don't actually need it. I'd say it's probably hundreds of thousands, if not millions. There's so many men out there that are just, they're just like, you know, they go to some shady company to get TRT from, and then they might even lie about the results or something, or they will deliberately get the results at a time of day when the testosterone is naturally at its lowest, which will be on an evening. So that's what they might do, is like, they'll have them get a result. So they'll basically, like, you can't just prescribe someone TRT because of, you know, if you get a result at the evening or something like that, because then But yeah, I don't know. It's just if they really cared about their health, they wouldn't have low testosterone in the first place for most cases. Exactly. If you're a young guy, unless you have a medical condition called hypogonadism, which means that you're naturally just don't really produce it enough, which in that case, okay, fair enough, but that's like one in every like 1,000 or whatever. Not like I don't think it's a very common thing. It's like if they actually get down and actually, if they didn't drink alcohol, if they didn't, do all these degenerate things, then they wouldn't need to do it. So all they're doing is just putting a band-aid over a bigger problem that they need to like address. Because by doing that, all it does is just doesn't address the actual problem, because a lot of these things that they're doing that are unhealthy is going to just destroy your health. So you're trying to mask it with TRT or something. You're just kind of cheating your own body. And that's the thing, is that it's going to catch up to you if you just don't prioritize health, you don't prioritize your sleep, stress reduction, all these different things. Hi Haley, how are you doing? I hope you're well. Take care. So yeah, it's just these trends are just getting ridiculous. So you got like Hamza, who's like gone on TRT, and the thing is, apparently he's not even really been that healthy himself, according to his old editor. We don't know the truth necessarily, but I wouldn't be surprised. And he has admitted to, smoking weed and doing things like that, and just not exactly, practicing what he preaches, which is just getting people a bit pissed off, because he would preach all these habits, but then he can't even do it himself. And then he's got on TRT, but then he kept it all a secret. And then it's like, but then he made out like, oh, he was going to tell everyone eventually. He just didn't want people to find out now, because he was worried that other people are going to start doing it. Well, he could just have done it in a way where he wasn't trying to promote it and say, I'm going to be a guinea pig or something, but don't do this. There's a lot of risks to it. He could have educated people on that, but then it just, a lot of these people, it's like they'll try and pretend like they care about you and all that, but really it's all about vanity to them, and because they have their own insecurities and stuff and whatever. Because anyone who's secure in themselves, who's they built up a decent level of body, then why do you need to even do TRT anyway? Like I don't understand it. He didn't feel enough of a man at 700 nanograms per deciliter, which is actually a pretty decent level. It's not low T by any means. So why do you need to like bump it up double that? It's just ridiculous. Yeah, I'm okay, I guess. I'm just ranting about this whole TRT thing, and because it's just a trend that's just gotten out of hand. Like, you've got people just promoting like companies that are selling it to people and all that. It's like, I think you had like James Smith went on it as well, but I think his lifestyle is pretty stressful. If you're an entrepreneur, it can be quite stressful, but it's like, so what they're doing is taking testosterone to try and mask their shitty lifestyle. Like, you shouldn't be stressing yourself out in the first place, really. Like, is money all that matters to you, kind of thing, That it could just kind of, you know what I mean? Like, because if a lifestyle is stressing you out and it's getting you low testosterone, then maybe that's a sign that maybe you're taking things a bit too far. The whole hustle culture to me is just toxic, and that's probably going to tank your testosterone. But so then they end up doing testosterone to try and manage that. Now, for some people, they might be able to like use something like an adaptogen to help them out with that if things aren't too bad. But there's only so much that those things can do. If your life is stressful, then maybe you need to sort out your lifestyle. Is it worth making so much money to like just then stress yourself out and then end up coming down with diseases in the long run, because a lot of these people end up dying early. Stress is one of the biggest killers. And I don't think it's really talked about enough. So yeah, just gotta not stress, gotta just just be kind of like, maybe take some time to meditate and just relax, reset your nervous system and all that kind of stuff, right? Because what TRT is doing for a lot of these people is just masking the problems. Yeah, you might end up making more money and whatever, but it might make you feel more productive. But the thing is that the body can only handle a certain level of stress, and you're just artificially increasing your testosterone, so then you feel like you're able to do more, but then inside your body, you're probably going to be falling apart. It's like, I don't think testosterone is not necessarily going to just, make you feel like, it's like, yeah, it might make you feel bad, but I don't know how much it can really improve your body's ability to handle stress in like the systemic, as in like there's things going on systemically, like inflammation and all these different things going on because of chronic stress. Does testosterone, if you artificially increase it, does that somehow alleviate all of that? I kind of doubt that. I mean, I'd have to look more into that, whether exogenous testosterone, but putting that in your somehow, like increase your body's ability to, in terms of like brain health and stuff like that, and because maybe it can give you a false sense of security. I don't know. Or it might make you feel like you're, can keep flying at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but then you burn out quicker, kind of thing. It's just, I don't know what you guys say, but I think it's important to like prioritize rest and recovery. I don't think it's necessarily a good idea to artificially increase testosterone to try and mask that. I don't know. Because, for some people, they could have fixed up their lifestyle and had the same level of testosterone as some of the people on TRT, because, like, it's supposed to just replace it, but then again, some people that are doing it, they're pushing test into super physiological territory, which I think is a real concern, because we don't know what it might do to people. We know it can increase aggression at some point, and some people are going to be more susceptible to that. Like, look what happened to Mike Israetel. I mean, yeah, his is like crazy high, but some people have they can possibly become more, have the sense of what they call the dominance hierarchy. Now, yeah, it's good to be competitive to a certain degree as a man. It's like, you want to have a certain drive about you to want to compete and be able to, to be successful and whatever. But there's a point when it can become quite unhealthy. Hello, Jeanette Harrison. I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you doing? Have you been here before? Welcome in anyway. Like, talking about testosterone and hormones and stuff. So, but like I said, we should be trying to fix our lifestyle. Are you eating good food? Are you prioritizing recovery? Are you prioritizing sleep? Things like that. Are you limiting alcohol consumption? These are all things that we need to look into. Another one would be limiting caffeine consumption, because I believe that if you have too much caffeine, that could hinder your sleep and therefore indirectly lower testosterone as well. A lot of people find that caffeine can lower their sleep quality. It's like people using caffeine to try and to give them fake energy. It's to me, caffeine's another what a similar thing to test in the sense of like trying to give you a fake energy instead of prioritizing, reducing your stress and like that and improving sleep quality to try and increase your energy levels. Because a lot of people go on the caffeine, they have the spikes and crashes, and constantly feeling burnt out, and then they have to get another drink. Maybe that's a sign that, again, your lifestyle sucks. So it's important that we address these things if we have these problems. So I don't need to take pre-workout before going for a workout. If you need to do that, then just to even motivate you to do that, I think something's wrong there. But anyway, the whole bodybuilding stuff is never about health, pretty much, for the most part. None of them actually give a damn about their health. It's all about vanity. It's not about health or fitness even. It's not about fitness whatsoever, because they just do these kind of very specific exercises that, in a way, that is just all they're trying to do is optimize muscle. There's not really any kind of anything else to it. There's no cardiovascular health to that. I mean, yeah, there might be a bit, but like compared to like actual, cardio, it would probably be not very good. There is ways of incorporating cardio into your workouts, but some people actually believe that it's going to slow down the gains or something like that, which isn't actually true unless you do too much. But yeah, a lot of people don't do things like stretching and stuff like that, and so this is something I've been looking into, is like stretches and things like that, because it's about trying to be well-rounded. And another thing, a lot of these people don't have any. Yeah, they might have be quite strong, but then they might not be able to withstand a lot of endurance with it. Like, for example, if they were to try and chop trees down all day or something, they're probably going to tire pretty quickly. So it's not about fitness. It's not about functionality. It's not about being, I know a lot of people try and like diss on functional training, saying it's BS or whatever, but like, if you actually want to be, fit, then to me, functional training is really the way to go, because how are you even fit if you're not functional? Literally, the word fit means functional. So if you're training to just be a bodybuilder, that is not functionality, that's vanity. Wrong with trying to look good and whatever, but you want to do that by being functional as well, being, it's like a lot of them just mainly just use machines, and these machines don't train you to be, stable and things like that. You see a lot of them, and most of the time they're just using a bunch of different weight machines, but they're not functional. They're rigid. It's not natural movements. It's very it's mechanical, isn't it? It's humans aren't like some kind of mechanical thing of where it's in some kind of rigid movement pattern. So yeah, that's the thing, is a lot of these exercises are not exactly really functional. But anyway, I mean, it's like, would these people be able to carry, say, 30-kilogram dumbbells for a couple of minutes to 5 minutes, maybe something like that, let's say, whatever, however long. A lot of them would just kind of tire pretty quickly because they haven't trained themselves to have that endurance. They might have the explosiveness and all that, but then do they have the endurance? Are they able to keep going? Do they have the work capacity? A lot of them would just gas out pretty quickly on a lot of exercises, or their muscles would tire. Either way, they're not fit, a lot of them. Like, look at Mike Israetel, for example, especially when they start taking steroids. Like, the guy can't even barely run. That was like literally 800 meters. So there's no way he could do like probably a few miles even. He can barely jump. He's not even that strong relative to his size and his height. It's pathetic. And because what good is, looking so jacked, but then your performance is shit. Like, it's more impressive when to, like, be quite strong than some like jacked guy who some jack guy who can barely like bench much at all compared to like his size, his body weight, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's just pathetic. So yeah, it seems like a lot of these influencers are kind of losing a lot of credibility, because who the hell is going to take these people seriously when you've got people like Mike Israetel, whose PhD is a joke? I think it should be revoked. Because if we're to take PhDs seriously, then we can't have things like that passing as a PhD. And the thing is, what makes it worse was his response and his attempts of like damage control and trying to kind of, just make out like it was a rough draft and all that, and trying to gaslight people. And it's just absolutely just pathetic. But these people are just out there trying to grift and look out like they've got the secrets and all that. He was making out to be bigger and stronger than Mike Mensa, and even if that is marginally the case, or arguably on some lists, but a lot of that was when Mike was specifically training for strength. At this point, Mike Israetel can barely function. So yeah, it's just absolutely pathetic. Like, he tries to make out like he knows so many secrets to bodybuilding, and he can get all these people like twice the results or some shit. I mean, that's what he's kind of, and he's using the PhD to try and sell that. That's the problem that people have, and it's been exposed. But the problem is that these people might get a little hit to their career, but then in the long run, it's really a drop in the ocean, unfortunately. A lot of people just end up like coming out of it relatively just like without barely any scratches. That's the problem we have, where it's like people are not held accountable a lot of the time. It's like they get so big that they just, there is exceptions, of course, when people do some really effed up stuff, but it's like these people should really be held accountable and say, what, we're just gonna like, I mean, I think if anything, like I said, that needs to have it revoked, because he keeps relying on the whole Dr. Mike or whatever, but it really, realistically, that's all just a marketing gimmick that he has, a marketing ploy, I mean. But yeah, all these science-based, whatever, it's just a load of crap. It's an absolute charade, it's just an absolute joke. Acting like, that their science, it can get you so many more results. It's like, the thing is, it's really not that complicated. And yeah, there's more information out there now. There's more, we know a bit more about how to optimize certain things. But the thing is, it's not really gonna, unless you want to be like a competitive bodybuilder, it's probably not going to make that much of a difference. Most of it is just the basics, really. The thing is if your environment is not good, like lifestyle, if that's not good, then you're gonna get poor results regardless of how good your training is. So if you're so hyper focused on your training, then it's like you have bigger problems to deal with than your training potentially if you're not getting results. Yeah, but there's a whole bunch of different variables when it comes to training, and not just the training, but the things like, are you eating enough? Are you sleeping enough? Is your life stressful? Are you drinking alcohol? You know, if you don't have all these things, sorted out, then the whole thing of optimal training and whatever bullshit is irrelevant. Like, these things probably only really matter if you have everything like sorted out. Like, yeah, certain exercise, it might, stress a certain muscle more or whatever, but then too much stress on the muscle, if your lifestyle sucks, that could actually hinder your results. Like if you're, for example, doing the whole thing of volume, trying to increase the volume of training because you're told that high volume is better. But then if you're actually training that volume with any intensity, then chances are you might not even be able to recover from all that. So then therefore you need to sort your lifestyle out to where you can actually recover better by getting more sleep and things like that. So like a lot of this stuff is irrelevant for a lot of people because they haven't even got their basics down. Therefore, they should really not be worried about any of this stuff. If you're so focused on all these little details, then you're missing the bigger picture. So that's how I see it anyway. Thank you for the likes, everyone, anyway. So I'm going to get going, I think, but just kind of been ranting about this whole, training and whatever, because a lot of it's a joke. Like I said, the science-based stuff, the people who only just try and promote bodybuilding without any focus on performance and I think that's all vanity. And I mean, I remember there was this thing where, like, I think Jeffrey Very Schofield, and I think he's got some good content a lot, but it's like, the thing is that I remember there was this thing where he was intentionally trying to, like, keep his bench press low or something like that. But it's like, why do you need to do that? I don't know, like, because, so I remember there was this, like, competition between him and natural bodybuilding or something about who could get the lowest bench or something like that for their size or something like that. Why would you want to do that? I think strength is something that we should be, it would look kind of pathetic if you have huge muscles, but then relatively, like, your strength to body weight ratio sucks. Hello, Mike. How you doing? Hope you're well. So if your strength to body weight ratio sucks, then that doesn't look good, does it? Like if you're already trained for like hypertrophy, and you're doing all this stuff of like 5-second fucking negatives and whatever, which may not translate very well to maximum strength, then it doesn't necessarily look very good, because that's the type of training that like people like Mike Israetel and whatever they've promoted, these very slow negatives and stuff like that, trying to kind of, I mean, yeah, I think a controlled negative is important for, like, just in terms of a lot of exercises, it's important to have that for, like, just injury prevention, but it's like a lot of people are promoting the idea of very, very slow negatives, but then could that not lead to being weaker, because you would have to reduce the amount of weight that you use or the number of reps that you use? So, like, it would not really correlate very well to maximum strength if you don't train for that. But when it's all about muscle mass, then you might end up just kind of looking a bit weak, because your 1 rep max will just be kind of low, because all you do is focus on whatever kind of stretch mediated hypertrophy or whatever bullshit trend. But there's like guys who lift very, very heavy and they're actually pretty big as well. I mean, you don't actually need like a ton of volume to like get big really, and you don't need a ton of like reps, I don't think either. Or I mean, a lot of it comes down to just having good form and just really pushing it with intensity. The thing is, I don't necessarily do everything optimal. Like I sometimes leave reps in the tank or whatever. I know I do that, and I'm aware of that. But I guess I make up for that with volume. I do like to just kind of. Thing is, it is very difficult to train to like true muscular failure unless you're doing like low reps. I find that if I'm doing somewhere between about 3 to 6 reps, let's say, then I find that's quite easy to sort of go to true failure on because it doesn't usually take very long, and you're not going to get that sort of lactic acid build-up. But I find that going to true muscular failure, it takes you to another level of intensity. If you're going to like say probably more than about, especially when you get into like the point of like 15, 20 reps or so, that can really be a really challenging thing to do. So you would have to really do more volume in order to make up for that. But that's the thing you just have to kind of do, I guess. But you can get a workout done pretty quickly if you just do like, there is people who do say like one set to true muscular failure. Let's say on each exercise they'll do. Let's say they're doing lat pull downs, and then at the end of their set they'll then continue by doing partial reps. So that is a way to continue your set to true failure, to where you're failing at every part of the range of motion, and that way you can maximize your results just from a single set. So if you're really going to true failure and beyond, that way you probably will, not need another set after that in a lot of cases. Especially if you're a beginner, like I don't think that's, because you're going to get results with not even doing that much. But then some say like you should like reduce your volume as you get more advanced. I guess if it comes down to fatigue and managing fatigue, basically. But yeah. But there's a lot of people just overcomplicating things, and you just want to be pushing yourself. Really, you want to be stressing the muscles out when you're training. But what I'm saying is, if you never do any like maximum, lifts or whatever, then you're not going to get particularly strong, or at least not as strong as you could have gotten. And also, if you don't train for endurance, then you're not going to have very good endurance either. So it's probably good to balance both maximum strength and strength endurance for maximum results in both. I mean, actually, maybe you wouldn't get maximum results in both, but you would get pretty good results in both if you train both. Yeah, if you're only specifically training one, you might get a bit better results in that thing. But overall, you'd be better off doing both. Like in terms of your overall fitness. And there's things like CrossFit, and I think the problem with CrossFit is that you get some people doing some stupid things. But if people know what they're doing and they're careful, then I think things like that could work. If you're doing things like functional movements and stuff like that, and like more dynamic kind of lifts and things like that, as opposed to, like I said, using these machines and whatever that are just very rigid. If you're doing things like things such as clean and jerks, or I just showing that thing with the kettlebells. I could have gone on a lot longer with that weight actually, but yeah. Hello, Reluctant. How are you doing? I'm just standing here at the moment. I just thought I'd, because I'm gonna go get some shopping. But I was talking about the whole TRT trend earlier, and how it's just ridiculous. Is that guys are trying to, cheat their own testosterone? I don't like that. I don't like the whole thing of trying to like cheat nature and kind of. We should be probably trying to like optimize our testosterone first, unless we absolutely need it. We should be trying to optimize our life so that we don't need to get replacement. But a lot of these people don't even need it in the first place, and they're just using it to try and get even bigger, which I think is quite sad. Right, what Baltron, welcome back. This is just kind of sad to me that people are just so desperate to like, look jacked that they'll do whatever it takes. I mean, yeah, it's just absolutely pathetic to me. But the problem is that if people do it and they just kind of, they just say, "This is what I'm doing," but don't take it because it's not really something that you need to do unless you absolutely need it. But there's literally people out there trying to like promote companies to then, I just find that kind of a bit scummy that they're actually capitalizing off the TRT. Because a lot of people that are going to be going there are just going to not be needing it. Like, the thing is, right, is that a TRT company should be saying to them, like, look, have you basically, like, we need to make sure that your lifestyle is optimized first. Because you could show them that you have, 200, 300 tests or whatever and be like, oh, that's it's on the low end, so we're going to prescribe you TRT, which I don't think is good in a lot of cases, because could these people have actually done things to optimize it naturally? Probably. In probably 90% of the cases, they probably could have done things naturally and boosted it up to like maybe 600-700 or so naturally, and it would feel good. But then they're being told they need to go on, testosterone to then just, it's like someone described it. I think it was Atlas Powerstroke saying about, masculinity on subscription. That's what happens. So all these companies are just going to be making loads of money off that. They're making a ton of money off of guys' feelings of inadequacies because they don't have enough testosterone or whatever, but they won't actually like probably go through everything first and be like, okay, your life is quite stressful. Let's look at your cortisol levels, because high cortisol can lower testosterone. They should be looking at your blood work first and seeing if there's anything missing, like maybe your vitamin D levels are low. Okay, let's increase your vitamin D then. And I think I remember magnesium is an important one as well. So let's look at all these things first. Let's look at your lifestyle. Is your lifestyle good? Is there potentially any supplements that we can use to help you with that? Maybe you might want to go on some like Tonkat Ali or whatever, or ginseng first, just to see if that helps you with that. It should only be like a last resort, in my opinion. It should be after everything else. We've tried everything else. Nothing else has worked to increase your testosterone, so that's the last resort.